There is an ancient code that has been buried under the dust of 5,000 years, a term so powerful that when activated for exactly 72 hours, not 3 months, not 3 weeks, just 3 days, a reset button is pressed right within your DNA. The chains of debt disintegrate, the genetic burden is cast off, and primal freedom returns. I'm about to show you what this Amargi code is, why 3 days is the essential biological transformation cycle, and exactly how to operate it so that it works. But I must warn you, this only functions if you follow the instructions precisely. Miss one detail and the code remains dormant. Are you ready to press the reset button? Let me tell you something that most financial experts will never admit to you. They tell you that debt is just a math problem. They say it's about numbers, interest rates, and spreadsheets. But they are wrong. Debt isn't just in your bank account. Debt is in your cells. It is written into your very biology. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how hard you work or how much you save, the money always seems to slip through your fingers? Why you feel a heavy, invisible weight on your chest, even when you're trying to relax? It's because you aren't just fighting a financial system, you are fighting your own genetic code. Scientists have a name for this. It is called epigenetics. It is the study of how your environment and your experiences can actually change the way your genes work. And this is the part that should wake you up. Those changes can be passed down from generation to generation. Poverty has a smell in the biological realm. It leaves a chemical signature. Think about your parents. Think about your grandparents. If they lived under the crushing weight of debt, if they spent years waking up in fear of creditors, their bodies were constantly flooded with a hormone called cortisol, day after day, year after year. That constant flood of stress didn't just stay with them, it left a molecular mark on their DNA. And when you were born, you inherited more than just their eye color or the shape of their hands. You inherited their survival mode. Inside your brain, there is a small part called the amygdala. Its only job is to detect danger. Because of the genetic debt you carry, your amygdala is on high alert. It is hypersensitive. You were born wired to expect a crisis. You were programmed from the womb to live in a state of scarcity. This is the hidden reason behind your financial behavior. Why do you sometimes spend money impulsively on things you don't need? It's not because you're irresponsible. It's a biological reflex. Your brain is trying to find a temporary chemical relief from the lack it feels in its DNA. Or why do you freeze when a massive opportunity for wealth appears? Why do you hesitate? Why do you talk yourself out of it? It's because your amygdala is screaming, danger! It sees any change as a threat to your survival. Your DNA is literally trying to protect you by keeping you exactly where you are, in bondage. This isn't just a theory, this is proven. In a famous study, researchers exposed mice to a specific scent and gave them a small shock. Eventually, those mice feared that smell. But here is the chilling part. Their children, and even their grandchildren, were born with that same fear. They would shake and tremble at the scent, even though they had never been shocked a day in their lives. They inherited a trauma they didn't experience. Just like you have inherited a financial bondage you didn't create. You are fearing a shock that happened to your ancestors. You are carrying a burden that was never meant to be yours. But I need to give you a warning, a very serious warning. You can change your job. You can change your bank. You can even move to a different country. But if you do not break this genetic code, if you do not rewrite this biological script, every effort you make will be useless. It will be like pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. If you do not break this cycle within yourself, you will pass this scarcity mark down to your children. You will hand them the same invisible chains that are holding you back right now. You will ensure that their amygdala is just as terrified of life as yours is. Your hard work is not enough. Your budget is not enough. You must have a biological coup d'etat. You must force your nervous system to accept a new signal, a signal of abundance. You must overwrite the survival code with the Amargi code. If you're ready to stop being a biological slave to the past, I want you to comment these 3 words right now. The chain ends. Write it with conviction, because we are about to enter the 72-hour window where we stop fighting the numbers and start rewriting the cells. The code is powerful, but it is not permanent. It can be broken. And it starts the moment you decide that your bloodline will no longer be defined by what is owed, but by what is owned. Now, I want to take you deeper into a truth that the modern financial world has worked very hard to make you forget. I want you to understand that your desire for a clean slate, your deep, aching need to start over, is not just a dream. It is a cosmic necessity. Most of the world today lives in a system that never sleeps. It is a machine that demands more, taxes more, and takes more. It tells you that once you are in the hole, you must stay there until every cent is squeezed out of you. But the universe does not operate that way. Ancient wisdom reveals a law that stands above every bank and every creditor on this planet. It is called Shmita, the sabbatical year. In the ancient world, there was a rhythm to life, a pulse. Every 7 years, something miraculous happened. Not 7 months, not 7 weeks, but every 7 years, the entire system was forced to hit the reset button. I want you to think about the earth for a moment. If you force a piece of land to produce crops year after year without ever stopping, what happens to that soil? It becomes dust. It loses its nutrients. It becomes barren and dead. The ancients understood that for the land to stay alive, it had to be released. It had to rest. But here is the question that should pierce your heart today. If the very dirt beneath your feet is granted a right to rest, why are you being told that you must be a slave forever? Why is the soil given a release every 7 years, but you are expected to carry the weight of a debt for 20, 30, or 40 years? Does the Creator care more about the dirt than He cares about your soul? Of course not. The Law of Shmita proves that the reset is a fundamental law of existence. It proves that no debt was ever meant to be eternal. I want to give you a new way to look at your financial situation. Debt is not just a balance on a screen or a pile of bills on your table. Debt is a dam. Imagine a powerful, rushing river. That river represents the flow of abundance, favor, and opportunity that the universe wants to pour into your life every single day. But debt is like a massive wall of concrete you have built across that river. What happens to water when it stops moving? It becomes stagnant. It becomes toxic. It breeds disease. That is exactly what debt does to your spirit. It stops the flow. It creates a stagnant pool of anxiety, fear, and not enough. You aren't broke because there isn't enough money in the world. You are broke because the flow into your life has been dammed up by the spirit of debt. Most people I talk to carry a heavy, suffocating sense of shame. You feel like you've failed. You feel like you're a bad person because you can't keep up. But I am here to tell you that the shame does not belong to you. The Law of Shmita, the law of the release, proves that you have a legal right in the spiritual realm to be free. Listen to what is written in Deuteronomy 15. At the end of every 7 years, you shall grant a release. It does not say, if the bank feels like it. It does not say, if you've been perfect. It says you shall. It is a command. It is a mandatory clearing of the books. When you perform this 72-hour protocol we are discussing, you aren't escaping your responsibilities. You are realigning yourself with the truth. You are stepping out of a man-made system of endless toil and stepping into the divine system of release. You are standing before that concrete dam of debt, and you are demanding that the gates be open. I want you to stop for a second. Close your eyes if you have to. I want you to feel that weight of shame, that heavy, cold stone in your stomach, and I want you to let it go. It is not yours to carry. You were not created to be a permanent debtor. You were created to be a steward of abundance. You are demanding your Shmita. You are claiming your right to rest, just as the land rests. If you are ready to stop apologizing for your past and start claiming your legal right to a reset, I want you to comment these two words right now. Reset granted. When you type those words, you are making a declaration. You are telling the creditors, the banks, and the spirit of poverty that you no longer recognize their authority over your future. You are shifting from a place of, please help me, to a place of, I am released. The universe does not operate on accumulation. It operates on circulation. And your circulation is about to be restored. Not in 3 years, not in 3 months, but beginning in the next 3 days. The dam is about to break. Are you ready for the river to flow again? Now we come to the work, the actual mechanics of the 72-hour protocol. If you want to experience the power, you must follow the protocol. In the ancient traditions, the power of any entity was found in its name. If you cannot name your enemy, you cannot defeat your enemy. For too long, you have let debt be a shadow, a vague, heavy cloud that follows you everywhere. It stays powerful because it stays nameless. It stays hidden in the corners of your mind, whispering threats that you are too afraid to look at. We are going to disarm it. I want you to take a piece of paper, not a digital screen, not a phone, a physical piece of paper. You are going to name every single debt you carry, every credit card, every medical bill, every personal loan. You write the name of the creditor and the exact amount. Listen to me. You are not doing this to pay them today. You are doing this to strip away their authority. When the ancients named the creatures of the earth, they established dominion over them. When you name your debts, you are telling them, you are no longer a ghost. You are a number, and I am your master. You are moving from a victim being hunted to a governor managing a situation. But why 72 hours? Why 3 days? Not 1 day, not 1 week, 3 days. Because your brain operates in what science calls neural loops. These are the deep, physical grooves in your mind that keep you stuck in the same patterns of lack. To break a physical loop in the nervous system, you need a period of absolute consistency. 72 hours is the biological threshold for a shift. Day 1, you break the agreement with fear. Day 2, you establish the new identity of abundance. Day 3, you seal the transformation. Consistency is the key. If you skip a single day, you must start the 3 days over. This is not about religious punishment. It is about neuro-biology. You are overwriting 30 years of survival programming with 3 days of intentional command. Now pay attention to your body. Your posture matters tremendously. When you look at your list and when you speak your declarations, you must stand. You do not do this slouching on a couch. You do not do this lying in bed. You stand with your shoulders back and your head held high. Your brain is constantly reading your physiology. If you are slouched, your brain thinks you are a defeated victim. If you are upright, your brain accepts the code of an heir. You are claiming an inheritance. You are not begging for scraps from the floor. I want you to stand up right now, wherever you are. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Feel the strength in your spine. I need you to commit to this 72-hour window. No excuses. No, I'll do it later. If you are ready to begin the protocol and disarm the spirit of debt, I want you to comment these 3 words right now. I take dominion. Type it. Make the commitment. Because in the next 72 hours, we are going to do more than just list your expenses. We are going to disarm. We are going to strip the power from every name on that list. The 72-hour window is open. Stand tall. Your reset begins now. I am going to tell you something that sounds completely irrational. I am going to ask you to do the one thing your fear is screaming at you not to do. If you are in debt, if you are drowning, the most natural reaction in the world is to grip what you have as tightly as possible. You hoard every cent. You hide. You protect. You live in a state of constant, suffocating contraction. But I am telling you today, you cannot receive with clenched fists. There is a principle in behavioral science called signaling theory. Your brain, that ancient survival-driven machine, does not listen to what you think. It does not care about what you say. It only believes what you do. When you hold on to your money with white knuckles and trembling hands, you are sending a massive, high-frequency signal to your nervous system. You are shouting, "There is not enough. I am in danger. I am starving." And because your brain believes that signal, it stays locked in the scarcity trap. It shuts down your creativity. It blinds you to opportunities. It keeps you in a biological state of freeze. You cannot see the way out because your brain is too busy trying to survive the perceived famine. So, how do we break the trap? We use a mock attack. During these 72 hours, I am commanding you to give something away. It doesn't have to be a fortune. It could be $5. It could be $1. The amount is not what matters. The signal is what matters. When you are in debt and you choose to give money away, you are performing a radical act of biological defiance. You are launching a mock attack on your own poverty mindset. You are sending a shock wave through your nervous system that says, "I am not a victim of lack. I am a source of supply." In that moment of giving, the signal of not enough is shattered. Your amygdala, the amygdala, suddenly stops screaming. The survival loop is broken, and something miraculous happens in your perception. In behavioral economics, we see this over and over. When people move out of a scarcity mindset, their cognitive bandwidth expands. Suddenly, you start seeing things you missed before. You notice a side project you could start. You remember a resource you haven't used. You find the courage to make a call that you were too terrified to make yesterday. The money was always there. The opportunities were always there. But you were biologically blind to them because you were too busy gripping your last dollar. I want you to think about a bird trapped in a room. It beats its wings against the glass, exhausted and terrified, because it can only see the barrier. It is gripped by the lack of an exit. But the moment it stops, the moment it releases its panic and settles, it sees the open window just a few feet away. Giving is how you settle your spirit so you can see the window. On day one of your protocol, find someone who needs it more than you. It could be a person on the street. It could be a neighbor. It could be a cause you believe in. Give that $1. Give that $5. And as you release it, I want you to say these words out loud. I am a source, not a slave. When you do this, you are telling the universe and your own DNA that you trust the flow more than you fear the drought. You are moving from the scarcity loop to the abundance signal. If you are ready to break the scarcity trap and launch your mock attack on poverty, I want you to comment these 3 words. I am supply. Don't let your fear talk you out of this. Your fear is what kept you in debt for the last 10 years. Your fear is a liar. It tells you that if you give, you will have less. But the law of the universe says that if you give, you create space for more. Release the grip, break the signal, open the window. The flow is waiting for you to stop holding your breath. Let's begin the release. We have reached the moment of manifestation. You have spent the last 72 hours rewriting your DNA. You have broken the biological loop of poverty. You have declared your right to the Shmita. But as the scriptures say, faith without works is dead. Spiritual breakthrough must be followed by natural action. Now, we bring the Amargi code into the physical realm. Think back to those ancient Sumerian kings. They were not just being nice when they declared Amargi. They were brilliant strategists. They knew that a man trapped in debt is a man who cannot build, cannot create, and cannot protect his family. They knew that for a civilization to survive, it needed a return to the mother, a return to the original state of freedom. You are now in that state. The spiritual chains have shattered. But the paper chains, the contracts, the balances, the bills, They still exist in the natural world. They are the echoes of a dead past. And today, we silence the echoes. There are 3 practical steps you must take immediately following these 72 hours. Step 1. Negotiate from mastery. For years, you have avoided the phone. You have hidden from the letters. You have approached your creditors as a beggar, hoping for mercy. That ends today. You are no longer the slave. You are the manager of your destiny. I want you to call your largest creditor. Do not call with fear in your voice. Call with the authority of someone who has a plan. You say, I am ready to resolve this. I have a specific amount for a settlement, or I have a specific monthly figure I can commit to. What can we do to close this book today? When you speak from a place of mastery, the atmosphere changes. Creditors are used to dealing with victims. When they encounter someone who has taken dominion, they listen. Doors that were locked for years will suddenly swing open because you are no longer vibrating at the frequency of lack. Step 2. Cut the nourishment. Debt is a parasite, and like any parasite, it needs to be fed to survive. It feeds on your old habits, your old fears, and your old excuses. You must cut the cord. If you have credit cards that are dragging you into the grave, you destroy them. Not tomorrow, today. If you have subscriptions or expenses that are leaking your abundance, you plug the holes. You are in a season of biological reset. You must protect your new environment so your DNA doesn't revert to survival mode. You are not cutting back. You are starving the parasite so the builder in you can thrive. Step 3. Create a new flow. The Amargi Code is not just about being at zero. It is about the return to abundance. I want you to stop focusing only on paying off and start focusing on bringing in. Look at the list you made on day 1. Do not look at it with dread. Look at it as a series of targets. Every dollar that comes into your life now is a soldier in your army of liberation. Seek out that side project. Ask for that raise. Launch that idea you've been sitting on for 3 years. The freeze is over. Your brain is now wired to see the windows of opportunity. Jump through them. History proves this works. Look at Solon of Athens. Thousands of years ago, Athens was dying. The people were so deep in debt that they were selling themselves into slavery. Solon didn't just give them advice. He enacted the Theia, the shaking off of burdens. He canceled the debts. He freed the slaves. And almost overnight, Athens transformed into the greatest civilization the world had ever seen. When the burden is shaken off, greatness is the only thing left. The debt has ended in your cells. It has ended in your spirit. Now it ends on the paper. You are entering your own era of Amargi, a season where you are the lender and not the borrower, a season where you are the blessed and not the bound. I have one final question for you, and I want you to be honest. Now that the chains are gone, now that the weight has been lifted from your DNA, who are you going to become? What will you build with your freedom? The 72 hours are complete. The reset is finished. Now go out and walk in your liberty. Your bloodline is free. Your future is clear. The era of your abundance has begun.